Friday, April 17th, will bring an interesting card of boxing from Madison Square Garden. And that's a card that is going to feature in the main event Alicia Baumgardner as she defends her unified Ibf Wbo super featherweight titles against Bomi Rishin. And what we're going to talk about in this video is the co-main event for that card. Madison Square Garden has held a number of bouts that have been quite historic. And on this particular evening, there will be more headlined by this fight. But let's talk about the co-main. Boxing, Madison Square Garden, sets the stage for a main event that'll feature Alicia Baumgardner and Bomi Rishin. However, coming in for the co-main is a fight at super middleweight that's going to take place when we see Shadisha Green take on Lonnie Daniels. Yeah, the same Lonnie Daniels who once took on Clarissa Shields. And Green hopes to, in the future, if she gets beyond Daniels, will have her shot at the historic Shields. But let's talk about their fight against one another. This will be for the IBF and WBO unified super middleweight titles. Both women are coming in where they are going to face one another. Age separates them, where 1 year Daniels is 37. Shadisha Green is 5'8", an orthodox boxer. Daniels is 5'6.5". Both fighters are in a situation where they feel that they can lead this division into the future. Now, there is a difference between where they find themselves presently. Let's start with Lonnie Daniels. They call her the smiling assassin because she always puts on a pleasant disposition, but she is a fighter who will be aggressive. Fighting out of New Zealand, she has a little bit of that, Samoan bloodline or something like that. Her record that she brings is 11 wins, 4 losses, 2 draws with 1 KO. And her last 2 fights, she fought at basically the heavyweight division and light heavyweight divisions. Her most recent fight was in December of 2025, where she took on Sarah Skurich, and she lost a unanimous 10-round decision to her, and that was challenging for the IBF light heavyweight title. Prior to that, in July of 2025, she had taken on Clarissa Shields for the undisputed heavyweight title that Shields currently holds, and she lost a unanimous decision to Shields. The thing about Daniels is she is not afraid of contact. She will get in there and go right after her opponent, even though she only has one knockout on the record. She's busy, and she will let the fists fly. She's not the most technically savvy fighter out there, but her wins come from her being active and going after the opponents with aggression. She just simply has to decide what division she really wants to fight in, because fluctuating back and forth between heavyweight and light heavyweight, and now dropping down to super middleweight, and that's partly because some women in certain divisions don't have a lot of competition. So women are basically, they are encouraged and inspired to seek other weight divisions for opposition. It could be dangerous as you age. When you're younger, you can kind of get away with those type of things, but as you begin to age, you may want to settle in a division. Now, Shadisha Green, on the other hand, comes in. They call her the Sweet Terminator. She's 16 wins, 1 loss, and 11 KOs. That single loss came when she took on Franchon Cruz Discern, and that was back in December of 2023. That was an interesting thing because it was for Discern's, at the time, WBC super middleweight title. For some reason, I remember watching that fight, and Shadisha just didn't get off as normally she would. And it was interesting because many people had given her the green light to be victorious in that fight, and Franchon was able to outwork her. Amazingly, her last fight, Shadisha's, was against Savannah Marshall, and that came in July of 2025, where she won the IBF and WBO titles from Savannah Marshall. Now, a split decision over Marshall in Madison Square Garden. It was really weird because some people thought that Marshall going in was going to be victorious. But yet still, Green was able to pull out that victory. Not only is that a very solid victory, but it puts her in a certain status simply because Marshall was the great rival of Clarissa Shields, and also thought to be someone who would dominate that super middleweight division when Shields vacated and went on up to a higher weight class. So we were waiting to see what would happen, and then in steps Shadisha Green to be victorious over Marshall. So when you put together who these ladies have fought in their last 6 fights, Marshall and Franchon Cruz Discern, for Green, it's pretty good. With Daniels, Shields is pretty good, and you have to consider the fact that Shields had beaten both Cruz and Marshall. So that's the thing. Will Daniels be able to be busy enough against Shadisha Green, who gives the impression that she's a bit bigger than Daniels, but we don't know until fight night how that's going to work out. Women's bodies carry weight differently, but I remember looking at them at the stare-off. It looks like Shadisha has a little size on Daniels. But who's in the better shape? Who's able to implement their game plan? That is where this fight is going to be won. And I do believe that Shadisha recognizes how important the fight is. I've heard her in her interviews during fight week leading up to the match, and she's been talking the right type of talk, not focusing on anything outside of Lanny Daniels, not thinking about Clarissa Shields, thinking about going in and imposing her game plan and do what she needs to do to be victorious in this fight. The event is called Mvpw 02, meaning number 2 for Most Valuable Promotions Women. Second bout. This is put together by Nakisa Badirian and Jake Paul, and they have a roster full of women who are going to be headlining cards such as this, and this fight will be broadcast in the U.S. on ESPN. That'll be Friday night. Look to tune in and see what happens. I actually give the edge in this fight to Shadisha Green due to her resume and also where she has found herself in the sport. I think she has the right type of mindset and approach to this, and I do expect her to be successful. Daniels can play spoiler, and things can turn around. That's the one thing about this Mvpw. The roster of women that have signed up to this, you're going to be getting some quality classic fights in the women's division of boxing. And we all can look forward to that because the women have been known, especially in the past couple of years, to really bring it. And who knows what the future holds for the winner. It could be Clarissa Shields. But what do you think? This is Stormy B-Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know what you think about this fight and who you have winning. Leave comments and let's discuss further. Do you think that Shadisha Green can put things together where she can be successful and become the next person in line for Clarissa Shields? Or do you think that Daniels, playing spoiler, will pull off an upset and give us something new to talk about going into next weekend? Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.